It's a new season, and with a new season comes new opportunities. With new opportunities come new drivers. With new drivers come new alliances. With new alliances become new rivalries. And now you start to understand why you love the start of a brand new season. This is Homestead Miami, Florida, and the first round of the Crest Autosport iRacing IndyCar series, and what a place to get things sorted and get things started. I'm Jake Sparey, William Foyle, along with me for the ride today as producer for this wonderful show. Today, of course, Crest Autosport series is, just like last season, sponsored by Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art racetrack sculpture designers who manufacture their wall art using Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies, along with, of course, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box to bring ourselves into play live on Crest Autosport TV via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. Welcome along. A like, a follow, a subscribe, whichever platform that you do find yourself on, goes a very long way for us as we get to some incredible racing action today. Of course, this is the first of 12 rounds, and a little bit different from last season that we find ourselves with. It's not entirely going to be all ovals like it was. We've got the two road races, round 6, which marks the halfway stage of the championship on the 1st of March at Long Beach, USA. And of course, you've got Laguna Seca, which bookends March on the 29th, but it goes all the way to the Indianapolis 100 over, of course, on round 12. The 19th of April is where the championship will bring itself to a head. And of course, the winner of the series will be getting themselves a prize provided by Apex Track, which is a sculpture of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to put up on their driver's wall. But on top of that, provided by Uncle Luke's Sign and Sticker Shop, there are plaque prizes for the top 3 of the championship, as well as the winner of that Indianapolis 100 come the end of the season. So there are opportunities here to go out there to race, to have those opportunities to really put yourself and stamp yourself down. And just because the season started and you're watching this right now doesn't mean that you are out of the action. You still have the chance to enter the series, even if it's mid-season, even if it's just for the season finale at the end, by heading over to crestautosport.com. And of course, all drivers will have 2 drop rounds, so you're not out of the championship if you are a little bit late to the party. Of course, we've got our format coming up as well, which is that qualifying will be going along pretty soon. There'll be 2 solo laps from each driver, but they will go one at a time. There'll be a 5-minute warm-up and then 100 laps worth of racing today to bring ourselves into complete conclusion out there on circuit. But it's a chance to have a look at drivers who are maybe out there, who haven't had the chance to race before, and other drivers who maybe are back and looking to challenge. Thijs Barendregt is your champion from last season, and there he is out there on circuit, just getting himself out and testing the waters of pit entry here. It's going to be very difficult. You have to go through 3 and 4. You can't do the old dive through 4 into pits as late as possible. You will get a penalty for doing that sort of thing. There is Alfredo Morales in the number 18 ALP car, working together in the fantastic green that they've got for this season with Leonardo Paletta, the Venezuelan, and of course the Italian, looking to try and get a really good solid start over the course of this season. There are some drivers here who are completely brand new to this. Car 23 is certainly one of them to keep an eye out on, down in 12th position right now as Morales goes well off, and that is Steven de Grevelier there, the Belgian, looking to try and really make some progress here. 25.4 in terms of starting times in practice, but doesn't have the benefit of draft, so I'd say that's more representative than some of the other times we've seen out there. And of course, we've got 2 very quick drivers up near the top. The 17 machine in Neki colours is Inigo Mardones today. He is certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with, has been for a very long time, and he's jumping in for his first full season along with Crest Autosport, along with car number 99, who is out there at the moment as Mardones pulls off to the side of the road, and that is Ruben Simonite who is currently absolutely flying. The fastest time in practice so far, a 25 flat at this moment in time. So he's definitely doing everything that he needs to say he is the benchmark that everyone's going to have to try and beat over the course of this season. But there are no guarantees when it comes to racing like this. There are no guarantees when it comes to how strong of a field we can get ourselves watching. And this could be something really, really special that we get our hands on today. Just 20 seconds before we put ourselves into the thralls of qualifying and the work that goes in to putting the 2 perfect laps together. First one will be crucial. The second one certainly might be needed here today around this place. Track conditions then at the end of practice, then they are cold. It's 21 degrees. We're just moving from what is effectively the twilight hours, and we'll see who puts themselves in the twilight zone. No real worries about the wind here today. It's not much of that blustering around, so that's not going to be affecting too much around this 2.4 kilometre or 1.5 miler out then here today, as this track once upon a time used to host the final rounds then of the NASCAR championships. But let's get qualifying sorted. All drivers who are brand new to the series will go out first, and then it will be in championship order from that point onwards. So that will mean that it will be Stephen de Grevelier who will be the first driver then out in qualifying, and will be looking to try and pilot his way forward and set the first time out there as he takes off from his grid stall along the pit entry, and he's going to get himself out of pit exit and really challenge himself. Now, an ever-cooling track like we find ourselves with right now is going to really give an advantage to those drivers later on. With that cold track, they're going to give themselves opportunities here to really go for it. And de Grevelier will have to be a little bit careful, actually, with the way that he exited onto the circuit. I wonder if he maybe just got himself over the white lines before he crossed the blue line out there on circuit. And if he has, his laps may not count as he goes around. So here he goes, nose is in 6th gear, the tyre just dropping onto the apron slightly here before moving up through 2 and getting on that run to 3 and 4. We've been keeping an eye out on drivers over the course of the practice, and you can get yourself about 2 car lengths on the back stretch and 2 car lengths on the front. So if you're within 4 car lengths onto the final lap, you got an opportunity. First lap in for de Grevelier doesn't count, and I think both his lap times are not going to count out there in terms of his qualifying, because he may have just overstepped the line on the blue mark. So de Grevelier, it'll be a real shame if that is the case out there in qualifying, going through 3 and 4, and of course with no ability to come in and serve that penalty before setting that second lap over the line. It will not count there for de Grevelier. It now means it will be Logan Egan who will have to set the first time. De Grevelier's times both taken off the board there with an oncoming penalty from the iRacing automatic system. So Logan Egan, the American, will be hoping that his Egan Motorsports car can really set something up. Club West out there at the moment, looking to try and be one of only 2 North Americans here in this series, because Alfredo Morales, despite being Venezuelan, does live in Canada. So, for Logan Egan, he will move his way through 3 and 4. High line there, going through the middle of the circuit, trying to get as much run. That banking will definitely help that second lap. 25.5 is the opening set of time, which is quicker than any time he managed to do in practice, which is definitely a positive for Logan Egan, who now makes that run once again towards 3 and 4, trying to pick up that line. You can see the blue lights on the dash indicate that he's right up the very top of 6th gear, on the rev limiter almost, trying to get that sorted, and that's a 25.477 to improve. So a good second lap, sorting it all out, but car 99 is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Coming up next, Ruben Simonite, the fastest driver in practice, and certainly trying to get as much as possible. It's all about minimum wheel movement as you go through. You can see it's a nice in to out, that arc that you see going through this section of road, and it's very much a case for Ruben Simonite of just trying to keep things smooth and steady. Nothing seems out of place. Everything seems like it's perfectly in perfection, and that is a 25.243. That is 0.2 of a second quicker than Logan Egan on that first lap. So car 99 has certainly set the timing sheets alight with that sort of time. So that has certainly worked, but we now know that is what the benchmark is. Second lap then coming up towards the books. We'll see if Simonite can go quicker than that 25.2 over the line. Does not go quicker, was 12 thousandths short. But now it's up to Inigo Mardones in the Necky Racing Team car. Someone who has a huge moment, actually, coming through 3 and 4. Had to jam on the brakes to stop it. And now his first lap is going to be a sighter lap with that small mistake on the outlap. So he lost the back end coming through 3 and 4. And it's a really weird place to lose it as he now comes through 3 and 4 once again. Inigo Mardones now knows this first lap, and again, he just grabs the apron on the inside. This is what pressure does to drivers here as he goes through. So his first lap goes right down 25.6, not quite what's needed for the number 17, who did so well at Indy last season at the season finale round. But Inigo Mardones, I think it's only going to take one lap around the books and say, I am not going to go any quicker than that. And so it's going to be a tough challenge for Inigo out there to really make those moves through the field. Ben Bennyworth, though, will be next in the number 96 machine. We're starting to hit drivers now who were here for the majority of the season. Bennyworth was in and out for about half the races last season. We'll see what he can do in the 96 machine. Ben Bennyworth running through 1 and 2. Nice and calm. Only 3 drivers able to set a time as of yet, but the good thing with this sort of qualifying is you get to see what everyone is capable of doing through 3 and 4, trying to run that middle to high groove off the exit and get that charge over the line. First time in is a 3.3. That's pretty good in terms of starting things off. That puts them about 9 hundredths behind Ruben Simonite, which is pretty much where Ben Bennyworth would like to be in terms of that opening time. But can he find improvement through this second one, taking a very late decision to come down, then through pretty much the middle of the corner before reaching the exit and trying to find some more. It's a 2.85 that second lap, so 4 hundredths of a second out and away. Next up, though, will be Fran Herrera out there on circuit. The 85 often finds himself to the mid to rear of the field, but ever a lovable character out there, has always got something up his sleeve. So what can Fran Herrera find as he goes through 1 and 2 and searches for 3 and 4 to work out in favour? The big opportunity is there if you can grasp it, and probably be looking at Fran Herrera trying to beat Logan Egan's time. That'll be the first key, and he's already done that at 25.322. So he's right on the tail of Ben Bennyworth here, and is pretty much in the wheelhouse of possibly improving further. That could be massive between now and the end of this, as in-sim time was soon clocking towards 8 o'clock in the evening through 3 and 4, and trying to keep that nice and straight. Stays low, trying to keep it as straight as possible. Improves by 7 thousandths of a second, so will remain third fastest out there. Next up, though, is the German Timothy Stroh, and Stroh has been a tour de force over the back half of the season. Joined a little bit too late to make any meaningful inroads on the championship, but it is worth noting that he is one of the best qualifiers in the field, and he is so good at finding the podiums in races. Can car 44 do exactly what is needed today? Trying to get it all sorted on this first lap, taking a high line, trying to gather momentum in 5th gear, moving and flicking up to 6th. There's not much difference between the two when you consider they're traveling at over 340 kilometers an hour up here on the top side banking, looking to get this second lap sorted. So Stroh sorts his first lap. It's a 26.498. It was about a second off of anybody else, but he's gearing it up, and you can see he's nice and low down there on the bottom banking, and as he tries to get it all sorted now through towards 3 and 4, once again it's about being consummate and smooth with the application of throttle. If you do have to lift and you do have to deal with all of those forces, you're going to have to be alert to it. But pedal to the metal, Stroh puts a 25.153. He nearly put a 10th on Ruben Simonite, and that is something you don't often hear in terms of time. So Stroh getting it absolutely fantastic, but it'll be Ollie Peters who will be next in the Crest Autosport car with Apex Tracks, and he knows that he wants to buck the trend of what happened a season ago, where he found himself struggling to find himself finishing races. He knows what he's capable of doing. We've seen him take a pole position in this series, and he could very easily do so again if he is pretty much online and getting what he wants out of it. It's a 2.72 to start, so that's third fastest with that opening time. Completely great for Ollie Peters, and there he goes, pushing too hard, coming out of 3 and 4, and while some trends stay the same as he spins it, puts it into the barrier, and his qualifying is all but over. And that was just the case of grabbing the inside as much as he could. He knew what he needed on that second lap. It didn't work. Jeremy Pronk is another incredibly quick driver who knows how to put the pedal down and get some good times. He had a couple wins last season, and he very much did everything that he needed to do. But you've got to do so much more than just win a couple races. Can Jeremy Pronk put himself in the perfect position, moves through 3 and 4, and looks to make that drive on this opening lap to get it all sorted? And the answer is, from that first lap, it's a 25.216, good enough for second. So it's a great start from Pronk, and he will want to try and do it again here and find himself that half a tenth of a second that he's down, those 600ths, as he now pushes towards 3 and 4. Has he got enough to say that he can snipe that pole position away? Moves through 3 and 4 pretty much as natural as it comes, over the line to 198. He did improve further, but he's still 400ths back, and that is still going to be work. Alfredo Morales then is next. He's a great qualifier. He's great on opening stints, but it is the long run stints that have been the trouble of car 18 over the course of last season. He might have had the opportunity to change that, the Venezuelan, over 100 laps today. He's got to focus on 2. First and foremost here for ALP, and the ALP car are going back-to-back. They were 4th and 5th in the championship last season, of course, with Leonardo Paletta jumping in as well. So the first lap brings itself into fruition for Morales, but it's a 25.216 of his own on the board. Not bad at all, but again, he's got to find a couple hundredths of a second if he wants to go by Jeremy Pronk. He knows what he's capable of doing as he goes over 340 Ks once again, 340 clicks of the gun, moving through in towards 3 and 4 once again, keeping himself nicely in position, staying low for the drive to the line. Very counter-conventional, but he did not improve on that second lap, so Morales will ultimately stay in third position. But what can his teammate Leonardo Paletta manage in contrast? Has he got enough of what it takes to really put this lap down and get himself up there in the order? Paletta always seems to surprise, always seems to have that ability to turn up. Nearly had a race victory last season at the Twin Ring Motegi, which so very nearly ended in a brilliant race, but ultimately ended in disaster for him, taking a big high line through 3 and 4. He's gearing up this second lap. He says, I only want one. If I've got a lap to work for it, I'm going to do it. 26.329, following the same philosophy that Timothy Stroh had, going well low as he tries to keep himself through, not moving up and migrating as much as maybe you'd expect, doing all of that work on the straight, moving in towards 3 and 4, not using all of the track either. Left himself about a half a car as he came in through 3 and 4. Will this be enough? He stays low off of the exit. Has he got a great time? It's a 25.211, 5,000 better than his teammate Morales, so he goes third fastest overall. Now it's Dave Steadman's turn in the 74 machine. Definitely a driver who has pretty much put the work in over the course of last season. Was a driver who was consistently third place, there or thereabouts, and then found himself absolutely motoring up through the field and picked up a couple victories come the end of the season. Can he do something very similar this time, or is he going to start with a title challenge as he runs through 3 and 4 for this opening lap? And hopefully it will all work out nice and dandily for him. First time on the board then is a 26 flat. That was all about setup. That opening lap puts him in 11th position, but this second lap is going to be the test. It's going to be where you put your bread and butter down in terms of how you make a meal of this qualifying session. Going through 3 and 4 once again, very low on entry. That's going to mean he's going to wash out wide on the exit, and he keeps it low off of the exit, taking a much more aggressive line, and it works because he goes second fastest on a 25.186. A brilliant lap to put it all together on the books. And now it's time for Welsh Dynamite to put things together. Alex Everitt, the number 2 on the car, and he knows that he wants to put a really strong season together. Knew that his chances fell away late on in the season against Thijs Barendregt, and he wants a title challenge and a title. He said the only thing he doesn't like about Thijs's car is the number 1 on it, and his first lap puts him 9th fastest overall on a 25.290. It's going to be congested here in this series. It's going to be close in this series, but can Alex Everitt find that time that he has done so many times before, put him well up the order and give himself an opportunity? Car number 2 will make a run for the line, and the answer is a 3.53. Couldn't improve, so surprisingly down the order. He'll be a bit disappointed with that qualifying, and it leaves only one left in terms of the efforts out there, and it's car number 1, Thijs Barendregt. He'll be looking to try and put the ultimate time on the board here today. He's really trying to gear up this first lap to give himself the second, and as the reigning champion, he didn't win too much last season, but he was so consistent on finding the podiums, and that's what got him through the championship, that element of consistency. Now he gears it up. How aggressive does he go down the banking here in towards 1 and 2? Absolutely fantastic. The most natural of natural lines that you can find from number 1, the Dutchman, as you would say, as a lot of people say about Dutchman, is flying as he now tries to get himself charging through 3 and 4. Has he got a time that can counter Timothy Stroh? The answer is no. He goes 8th fastest overall, and that will really shake things up for the start of the season. The 2 title contenders from last season are 8th and 10th in this 14-car field, and the grid will stack up then as follows for this one. Timothy Stroh will put the car on pole with a 25.153. We'll have Dave Steadman for company there on the front row of the grid. It will be Jeremy Pronk on row 2 with Leonardo Paletta in 4th. Alfredo Morales and Ruben Simonite will be 5th and 6th. Following that will be Ollie Peters and Thijs Barendregt, Ben Bennyworth and Alex Everitt, Fran Herrera, Logan Egan, Inigo Mardones in 13th, the last driver to set a time, and being a little bit too eager coming out of the pits, joining the track a little bit too early was Stephen de Grevalier, and he will have a lot of work to do from the back in 14th position on the grid for this opener at Homestead Miami. We're about 4.5 minutes away then from bringing ourselves into racing mode, and already Ollie Peters is finding why the Roval course is so fun as he spins it around, does himself a nice little flick spin, gets himself back going. He's going to have to try and find the circuit once again, which is going to be a very interesting challenge, and he manages to do so, getting back onto the back stretch. But great time from Dave Steadman to get second position. We know Stroh's a great qualifier when it comes to all of the work that's put in, but qualifying isn't everything when it comes to this series. You've got to make it count in the race, and because we're going into evening into night conditions, now it's going to be pretty much about pedal down. You're not going to see too much wear in terms of the tyres, but what you are going to be keeping an eye out on is who can push it to the limit. Timothy Stroh getting his brilliant machine into position. The number 44 certainly put down a really great time to start, but he knows now that he is fighting for a championship this season. Arguably, his form in the final few rounds of the championship last season would have put him in title contention, but he's now got a full 12 races, best 10 of 12 scores in this championship, and if you can manage it, it will certainly work. But this might be a track where you have to move through the order, and Alex Everitt's going to have to do something special in the number 2 machine as he tests out pit entry. And as we all know, with a series like this, especially under oval conditions, a A safety car can come out at any time, as there is an incident actually on the front stretch right now, as into the wall goes Steven de Grevelier on the left-hand side of your screen. A pretty big accident as well for de Grevelier, as he came through fourth, just trying to stay out of the way of everyone. So not ideal for the Belgian, but Fran Herrera as well. He'll be certainly hoping for a good run in the 85 from 11th position. He'll have work to do, but with the way that qualifying's actually stacked up, this could be really important. If you can get a good run, get past a couple drivers here and there, this one could stay close between the start of the race and the end of the race. I don't think this really screams out a track where someone's going to gain a lot of time in some of the elements that we have seen, but you never know when it comes to this series. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish on a great track like this, on a great series like this as we go through. And here is just some of the battling that you could be seeing out there. You can see Everitt just trying to practice those pit entries. He's getting himself alongside Ben Bennyworth, who's working the higher line. But Everitt now just showing how difficult it is, because you do have that grass that comes across and you've got a very dedicated lane to go through. And you've really got to be careful, firstly, about how much the car's going to understeer in the flat, because it is built to be on an oval and built to steer with the banking. But not only that, you have to be very, very alert to how you hit the brakes and how much of a stopping distance you've got, as Logan Egan finds himself in a little scrap here in the warm-up, as Alfredo Morales dives on around. And now Logan Egan can give himself an opportunity to move to the outside, give himself a chance as Morales dives for that pit entry, and give himself an opportunity. But this is what we're talking about here, with drivers looking to prove themselves. It's the first race of the season. Opportunities aren't going to come along to make a statement bigger than this. So if you can make a couple moves, you can charge up through, as Barendregt brushes with the outside barriers there through 3 and 4. If you want to give yourself an opportunity, today's the sort of day where you probably are going to make the biggest splash on them all, saying, I'm in contention for a championship, I'm going to win the first race, and I am the driver to beat. Barendregt diving in is the driver to beat, quote unquote, with the number 1 on the car, but it's definitely not a guarantee that he can repeat such dynamics over the course of racing today. There is Ben Bennyworth, currently 6th in this warm-up, and opportunities up and down the field prove what do you got, as these Dallara IR18s put themselves to the test. 4th year of the IR18. Well, actually, I'd say 5th year of the IR18 being the car in iRacing. Of course, they had themselves going through, of course, the DW12 in honor of Dan Weldon, moved into the IR18, moving into the 2018 season. And the 5th year of this spec, which should mean that in the not-too-distant future, when a brand-new spec does come along to IndyCar, we should have opportunities knocking. But that is warm-up then, all sorted. We're going to move to 100 laps worth of racing here today. And there is the grid, the car there of Timothy Stroh up on top, 25.153. Just 0.03 of a second clear of Dave Steadman. They're getting it absolutely fantastically sorted then in terms of a 1-2 for the team. Then it's Jeremy Pronk in 3rd for the Dutch sim racing team, as he will line up 4th, or line up with Leonardo Plata 4th and Alfredo Morales in 5th. Ruben Simonite will go from 6th, with Ollie Peters 7th and Thijs Barendregt in 8th. Ben Bennyworth 9th, and Alex Everitt rounds the top 10. Fran Herrera, Logan Egan, Inigo Mardones, watch out for him in the race. He starts 13th. Steven de Grevelier will make up the 14 drivers then today who will be getting themselves into some great racing action. But there are, though, a lot of chances to be had. If you can put yourself at the very, very zenith, I would say, of great racing, the time to make it happen is today. Have you got everything sorted? Have you got what it takes to put 100 laps together and get the first win? One of the great things about this series is it's a fantastic in-between to what you see out there on the iRacing service. You've got the series that are big and long and try and replicate what happens in the real world, and you've got 3-4 hour epics in terms of races that go on. You got those races that are sprints that have you pretty much trying to base yourself on pure pace alone, and sometimes that's brilliant. This has a pit stop in the middle. This is about a mixture of both. It is strategy and it is sprint at the same time. And this is why we love everything that goes along with the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series. The iRacing Pace Sedan nondescript once again is back out on track, and Barney the flagman is ready, as it will be Timothy Stroh leading these drivers then through 3 and 4. The green flag up in the air, meaning we're going to be going racing this time. Stroh backs them up and waits for the green flag. We're green at Homestead, and racing gets itself underway as we get ourselves nicely sorted, all ready to fight for second on, as Jeremy Pronk finds himself in a race with Dave Steadman. Steadman on the outside, losing out already as he drops back into third place as the big scramble continues. Peters and Everitt, the two teammates, side by side, so they move into 3 and 4. You can tell it's Ollie Peters with the blue rims as he takes a very high line going through 3 and 4 as they chase down the two ALP cars just in front of Morales and Paletta, who change going in towards turn number 1. Just in front of them, Steadman works the high line as well, trying to pick up second position again, and he manages to do so. They already dropped 6/10 on the opening lap to Tim Stroh, so they know they've got to stay very much in position as they keep this race pretty much in line. Brilliant work being done. Pronk now under pressure. Here comes Alfredo Morales, great on the start of races, and proving so again here on lap 3 as he breezes around, picking up that third as he gets himself nicely into position. The line has pretty much stopped at Ben Bennyworth. Logan Egan's trying to desperately cling on to it here, but at the moment, Barendregt starting to find himself in trouble as Bennyworth tries to work himself away through. Doesn't quite happen yet, but this is what happens when you're in a 5 or 6 car train. You've got to work each position as it comes along. High line is certainly favoured at the moment. The iRacing dynamic track system will work different lines in depending on how much they are run. And defending is Ollie Peters down low, trying to cover off and give some dirty air to that driver behind, and in fact he'll turn it into a move at this point in time because Alex Everitt doesn't really have much to argue against here on that outside as they move through. So already out to a 1.3 second margin here as we start lap 5 out of 100 here in this race. Already come the end of this, will be a 20th of the way through as Leonardo Paletta tries to find a way through on Jeremy Pronk. No dice in terms of that find as he gets absolutely buffeted with that dirty air and drops a couple tenths of a second back. Then as he comes over the stripe, 4 of them to be precise. Barendregt searching now on Ollie Peters again, but not going to find anything through 1 and 2 as they pick up the run off the exit. Everitt a little wiggle as he moves a little bit down the track. Peters is going to go to the outside now, which has been, I would say, quite preferred, especially off the exits here. You can see Everitt stays low, got himself about a half a car length, but seen a drive off the exit. Ollie Peters again is able to run up to the high side, give himself an opportunity to try and work the long way around in the fight for 6th and 7th in this field. And you know what? He's only got and done it, and he's picked up that position quite nicely. So a very nice run. Ruben Simonite is out of the race then. His day over and done. He hit the wall coming out then of turn 3, dived down into the pits then through 4, got a penalty for doing that, and as such has decided, you know what, my race is done. He just clipped the apron, and there was an incident at the back of the field which puts car 99 unfortunately out of the race. It was a poor start that continued on. Still though, racing happens as Pronk again holds off Paletta in the fight for 4th and 5th position. Pronk really washes up though, coming through that section of road as they fight 2 wide behind still the 2 Crest Autosport cars. But you can see the Dutch Sim Racing Team car again having to work the outside compared to the ALP car in the middle and making that run side by side. They will have to fight into 3 and 4 once again here on lap number 9. Still trying to work a way through, still trying to figure out what's the best way to make it happen. And again, Jeremy Pronk is able to just cover it off. The battle's still going on then between these two, Peters and Everitt. A solid bit of side by side, and it is completely countering Barendregt here in that fight going on at this moment. But I would like to also point out that Morales is getting reeled back in again by Jeremy Pronk. It was 7/10 of a second over the line as Everitt again having to go low, trying to figure out if he can hold on to that place. He does so this time and keeps himself then into that 6th position. But the top 2 here of Stroh and Steadman are clear by about 3 seconds compared to the entirety of the rest of the field, which will be a huge cause of concern between now and the end of this one. We've got some good battling right down the back of the pack as well, as Inigo Mardones in the number 17 tries to figure out with Steven de Grevelier, the Belgian, how he's going to deal with this. So through 3 and 4, de Grevelier on the low side in the yellow. In the pink of Necki, there is Mardones, who again will have to try and work his way up on the high side to make sure he's got the place. Qualifying effort didn't quite play out, only put the 1 lap in instead of the 2. And again, he'll have to fall behind. So de Grevelier will take 11th position by that matter of fact then. A very accomplished overtake to put things into perspective. But long way to go yet. By no means are we at the end of this one. Jeremy Pronk in 4th position, stuck in transit, you would say, at the moment, between Alfredo Morales and Leonardo Paletta, unable to really close down the gaps and give as much as what is potentially there, as there is Barendregt now starting to make some moves here, as he moves all the way around the outside to get past Ollie Peters. That came out of relatively nowhere. Ollie Peters had been fighting for a number of laps, but had suddenly just lost out a couple laps worth of momentum, and Thijs Barendregt now is up into 7th position, and he wants hands on Alex Everitt best that he possibly can at this point. Paletta just in front of that in the 97 continues his work with Jeremy Pronk just in front, who suffers again through 4, and that once more will allow chances. Barendregt with his chance though. Could he find himself an opportunity to move on? He's been loving that outside line in comparison to everybody else. He gets another solid run coming off a 2. He'll have to move low side to get it done on Alex Everitt, who doesn't want to give that high side away. And you know what? Barendregt is pinching a little bit as the 2 who fought for the championship last season continue their scrap. But Everitt on the high side will once again look to try and prove that worth and really showcase what he's all about, working on that line. 26s over that last lap, as Paletta is through now on Jeremy Pronk, moving up into 4th position, getting it done on the inside of 3 and 4 on that last revolution of the circuit, and figuring that it would definitely work out and be beneficial in terms of what has been a very open race at the front of the field. Barendregt continues his work then in the fight for 6th and 7th. Everitt this time deciding he'll want to go back low side, try and cover it off, moves back up the circuit, but again, it's giving Barendregt a little bit of, I would say, of a morsel to try and work with, as once more he will look up on the high side, and this time he'll get an absolutely wonderful drive. Everitt struggling a little bit in the middle of the corner. Barendregt up now into 6th position with that move. He is starting to really rock it here, and this is what we've seen. Middle of the stint starts to be where Thijs Barendregt opens up and brings himself into play. As you can see right now, you've got the likes here as we go to replay. This is the move then. Paletta on Pronk, getting it all sorted. Just went low to the inside, looking to try and pick this one off. And you can see it's just nice and easy. Pronk again suffering with that drifting up the circuit. A bit of understeer in the set. It certainly isn't helping things at this stage. Still though, you got Jeremy Pronk now looking behind him, because he's got Everitt, he's got Barendregt. It's 2 Dutchmen against the Welshman as they go through the long, I would say, expanse of turn 4. Pronk again suffers, and on the brakes, Barendregt has to go. And that checkup will allow Everitt low side. And this is what you're seeing here from the Dutch Sim Racing Team car. A very, very tight machine is not going to help you out here at Homestead. He tries to pinch down a little bit off of the exit of the corner, and can Pronk do something about Everitt here, who's got himself a lot of work to do as he comes back up the circuit and takes the place away. Move him up into the top 5 for a moment, because crisscross applesauce, he'll try and pick this one back up again on the low line. He does so, almost contact there as he runs through the finitest of finite margins coming into play, and really Alex Everitt lucky he still has a front nose at this point in time, trying to figure it all out. And in the wall is Fran Herrera in trouble as he came off the track through turn 2, just off of the exit, struggling. The back end stepped away. His incident happening off of the circuit, then off of the racing line, so we stay green here at Homestead Miami. And it's worth talking about the front of the field as Everitt continues to fight with Pronk, who goes to the low side to pick this off, because Dave Steadman has been slowly reeling that gap back into Timothy Stroh. It's back down to 1.8 seconds out here on circuit, and Steadman is driving a fantastic race back into this one at the moment. There is your leader, the German Timothy Stroh, doing enough, but Steadman is very happily giving chase here to effectively his teammate out here at this point in time. Barendregt still fighting with Everitt, and they've actually got two more to the party there. You can see Ben Bennyworth and Ollie Peters are there in the mix. They want to get in. Ollie Peters back on the low line. Bennyworth up high. Struggles as well for Everitt, and it's suddenly going to converge on itself as Barendregt actually sat up on it, and Bennyworth now is going to have to sit as he got a monster run going through in towards turn number 1. Couldn't commit down low, and through they go. Coming out of the pits using the fast repair there is Fran Herrera. He will be a lap down and might have to make another one. Down low goes Everitt. Oh, that was a bold move that was trying to be covered off there by Jeremy Pronk. It didn't quite pay off, and ultimately Barendrecht's going to force the issue. Let's go 3 wide in towards 1 on lap 25 of 100. And Barendregt gets the 2-for-1 offer absolutely fantastically. Pronk will come back, though, on the high side as he tries to take this one back again. Behind that, Ben Bennyworth having a little bit of a search. But what a move by Thijs Barendregt. Going down low, committing to 3 wide and making it happen the way that only he knew how. So some great racing going on then at this stage. Bennyworth goes through then on Everitt, who will try and sort that line off the exit. Go low. Pick it up then on the back stretch, and he is going to get that one back on the drive, but he is in freight train territory. He's stuck on the wrong side of the draft. Pronk again struggles through 3 and 4 with that tight machine, and there's going to go 1. Bennyworth, is he going to thread the needle? Oh, you bet he is. They go through 1 and 2, and this is the great racing that we love going through. Pronk right up against the wall, has to really back out of it, and as they put the power back down, some nice driving has been bringing itself into play. Once more, the search on that high line comes through, but it's just that, the search on the high line, nothing really doing with that, but a good drive off the exit though. And you know what? Ben Bennyworth's going to take this one on Alex Everitt. Thank you very much. He's pretty much got that one sorted. He can keep that drive through 3 and 4. Everett's going to keep himself somewhat there, but has to drop back into line. Gap for the front is still hovering at around 1.6 seconds here at this moment. So opportunities are still there to be had, but it's not a guarantee. Now it's Alex Everitt versus, it's Ollie Peters now, versus Jeremy Pronk, who's fallen way back. Bennyworth as well, still continuing his scrap, but you're now seeing here Stephen de Grevalier starts to get into the mix here. He's up 4 spots, the biggest mover of the day so far. Started in dead last, 14th, and could be looking to go +5 if he can find a way past one Mr. Jeremy Pronk, who is struggling a lot out there and very nearly tagging the wall out of 4 once again. Battle continues on though with Barendregt, with Everitt, and with Bennyworth in the middle of the pack. 13 seconds or half a lap adrift right now of Stroh and Steadman at this point. They've got Fran Herrera in the mix. Remember, he's on fresh tyres, so expect him to be a bit quicker. Barendregt thinking about it, thinks better of it in towards 1. But he knows it's a long, long road yet. You're not guaranteed anything when it comes to this race. Still trying to figure it out. Fran Herrera still there. Moves through, and this might be a clever strategy ploy here from Thijs Barendregt. Let Fran Herrera go through, and then when he gets onto the back and latches onto Alex Everitt, use him as a slingshot to bring himself forward and to take that place. Bennyworth, though, wants to disrupt that by going to the low side and trying to steal that position away. He's not going to get it, and it's a big wiggle there coming out of 2. Unfortunate there, he was able to really catch that as he came through, because if he didn't, he was going to be in that wall faster than you can say pistachio, and he wouldn't have been so happy about that race ending in circumstances like that. Grevalier continuing his fight with Jeremy Pronk as he goes through, and that's not quite there for the 603 Autosport car. Trying to get enough on the exit to really attack it, and that will remain a 2-wide foray in towards the next stages of this battle. Again through 3 and 4. not quite managing it here. Lap 34 out of 100. Still though, gap 1.7 seconds at the front. Those two have been pretty much uncatchable so far. Stroh and Steadman at this point. 1.6 as they come off the corner and absolutely fly. And that gap back to Alfredo Morales now really is a stark one. It's 10.4 seconds between first and third, about 8.89 seconds the gap there. And Paletta slowly bringing himself back in, but from about third on back to 12th with Logan Egan, who's in his own fight with Mardones, 10 seconds. So a lot of work being done. Pronk continuing his scrap as well. But there you can see Logan Egan, just for the briefest of moments, doing well. De Grevalier home through and up 5 spots now with that pass done on Jeremy Pronk. They are losing touch though with Ollie Peters, and that will be a cause for concern out there on circuit. Into the pits then will come Alfredo Morales. 36 laps. It's a bold early call, but if there is any way that he's going to come back and win this race, he's going to have to use the tyres up and make something happen. So this is very early for strategy, but it certainly could be one that works in his favour if he can undercut everybody and really bring some time back into this race. Definitely not out of the realms of possibilities, but there is your leader, Timothy Stroh. And you'd say a caution now would not be the most ideal thing for anyone who has pitted so far, because that will put them well out of sequence in comparison to some of the others maybe who haven't, which is why sometimes you do see drivers stay out a lot longer in races like these. There's Dave Steadman in second. Stroh finding a good element of consistency, the gap about 1.6, but Barendregt continues to be frustrated, I would say, in this one in 5th position, because he's looking at it. In comes Paletta, by the way. He will follow a lap later, so ALP on an early strategy call today. But the key here is very, very stark. The key here is that Fran Herrera is not going as quick as maybe Thijs Barendregt would want, and Alex Everitt has actually broken away. Jeremy Pronk also down into the lane for green flag pit stops at Homestead Miami Speedway with Crest Autosport TV and the Crest Autosport IndyCar series. So Pronk, who'd been suffering with a tight car for the majority of the run, will have a lot of work to do to bring himself into play. There is Thijs Barendregt continuing his work behind Fran Herrera and not finding much love at all, really, with the way that this race has been going so far. Into the pits then. Once again, I believe, will be... coming out of the pits, there will be Jeremy Pronk, Into the pits comes Alex Everitt then to make his stop. 40 laps on his stint. Looking to cover up what he can. And this might certainly work out quite nicely. So in will also come now. Here's a big hitter, Dave Steadman. He's going to dive in lap 41. And this is a very, very big decision as he tries to gain some time back on Timothy Stroh. Into the pits will come Logan Egan. And at this moment, you'd say Stroh is staying out another lap as Egan now will bring himself down in. Out of the pits will come Alex Everitt. He should funnel in behind Alfredo Morales and Leonardo Paletta, and does so by a couple of seconds at that point indeed. 26.2s right now, the time from Timothy Stroh. So it'll be interesting to see the difference between tyres as Stroh actually dives into the pits then, and will be taking that run around as now it'll be up to where Dave Steadman's times can do. He's come out. He's got a lap to make up here as we find ourselves racing at Homestead. And just before the halfway stage, a lot of drivers have dived in, trying to get their strategy sorted out there on circuit. It does leave then, for the first time in this race, a new race leader. That then will be Thijs Barendregt, who will take the reins here on lap 44 with Ben Bennyworth for company. And a huge slew of cars. Ollie Peters and Stephen de Grevalier having a big fight, as there is Ben Bennyworth in second, and just coming out of the pits is Logan Egan there to try and get things sorted. Stroh has left the pits right now, and where is, in comparison, Dave Steadman? He is ratcheting around 1 and 2 as we look at this fantastic fight. They're going to spread through, but crucially for the race lead, Steadman's jumped him, has undercut him in the stops, and Dave Steadman leads over Timothy Stroh. Mardones comes into the pit, and that battle that was looking to fan out 3 wide somehow still has everyone together. And you've got drivers like De Grevelier, for example, yet to come in. Ollie Peters yet to come in. But then you got the 2 of Paletta and, of course, Alfredo Morales, who are out there trying to keep themselves in step, I would say, with those in front. De Grevelier struggling a little bit. Through will go Everitt, and Everitt is determined. He wants to get on the back of Paletta and Morales over the course of this stint. So work to be done at this point. Some early stops, and it'll be a long road to home from this point. Just the one retiree still, though, from this race, Ruben Simonite, finding himself in trouble and hitting the walls. But Alex Everitt right now currently classified down in 9th position, but a lot of drivers up and down the order needing to pit, one of them being Ollie Peters. He'll get through without too much hassle, I would have thought at this point. But this is an all-important stage of the race. How long can you stay out, and what's the benefit going to be of those tyres? And the key for Timothy Stroh, I just want to look at his 3 laps he had before he dived into the pits. He was doing 25.9, 26.1, 26.2. He's doing 25.5 to come out of the pit. So 0.6 of a second each lap. And if you think about it, a tenth equates to a second. That's the equivalence of about being 6 seconds off, as Ollie Peters and Stephen De Grevelier both dive down into the pits then and look to make their one scheduled stop on lap 49 out of 100. So their work coming in. Barendregt and Bennyworth still to dive in, still to make their stops out there. Ben Bennyworth is going to dive into the pits now, and he will look to try and make his one stop on lap 49. Barendregt reaches the halfway stage of the race, one of only a few drivers to be able to actually manage that here today. I wonder if anyone's going to be brazen enough to split onto a 2-stop strategy, but certainly, however it's played out, it has worked for Ben Bennyworth here at this point, and Thijs Barendregt now finally chooses to dive down into the pits. There is De Grevelier fighting with Inigo Mardones, just as he was in the middle of that last stint that he was trying. And he knows that he's got a long way to go. Inigo Mardones has been quite quiet over the course of this race. But once we do get ourselves completely through the pit stop cycle, we will run down how everyone stacks up at the moment. Morales and Paletta 4th and 5th continue to stay in tandem at this point in time. They should jump up a couple spaces as the race lead once again goes back now to Dave Steadman out there at the front of the pack. And now will be a really interesting time to work out how it all plays out. Barendregt on the exit of the pits will be a long way back of Alex Everitt, and in fact will be in the clutches of Jeremy Pronk, as Steadman, currently your race leader here on lap 52 of 100, leads by a margin of 1.4 seconds over Timothy Stroh. It is Alfredo Morales who's currently in 3rd position, but he is a full 10.6 back, with Paletta in 4th and Alex Everitt hot on the heels in 5th position. Jeremy Pronk currently in 6th, with Thijs Barendregt 7th. Ben Bennyworth is in 8th position, and the last driver on the lead lap at the moment, with Peters, Mardones, De Grevelier, Herrera and Egan all 1 lap down as things currently stand here at Homestead, the season opener of the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series. But we know that it's not over just yet. This is the sort of race where you've got to absolutely go for it, and we've seen a lot of things go wrong from time to time. Question's going to be, with these battles going on, where can you make the push? As we see your race leader Dave Steadman now open up to over 2 seconds now over Timothy Stroh. Steadman has really proven over the course of this race that he has got that pace lap upon lap that can just put every driver in a bit of a sticky wicket, and we have seen that quite a bit. I'm very interested to know, though, how Morales and Paletta are going to respond over the course of this final stint, as they have the likes of Alex Everitt just behind. It's not going to be a foregone conclusion, but it is going to be a very, very tough race to go out there and construct in the way that they want to. It's going to be about getting points early, in a clean green affair throughout the entirety of this one so far. And if drivers have been in trouble, they still have the fast repair if they do fall into a quandary to bring themselves back into this race. Alex Everitt then in 5th position. Knows he's got work to do, but this has been, I would say, in terms of his race, in terms of Thijs's race, the top 2 in the championship last season, a pretty hefty eye-opener to be down as much as they are in a race like this. They wouldn't have really expected it. There is Thijs Barendregt in 7th, really trying to give as much as he can. But at least for the moment, he's got to work hard because that is Jeremy Pronk in front there, who will be on older tyres in comparison to Thijs. And Thijs should be trying to find a way to move through and give himself that opportunity to attack. Maybe a bit of adjustment in the stop from Jeremy Pronk has worked, and of course they can adjust things in the car as well. They've got the anti-roll bar and the weight jacker that they can always play with, and that certainly can be huge in terms of how a car handles the anti-roll bar, moving it up and down. Going to give yourself a little bit more movement of the car here and there depending on how much fuel is in the car, and right up against the wall goes Jeremy Pronk. And suddenly here comes Thijs. Of course, you've got that weight jacker as well, which is how much that right rear tyre is being lifted up or down in comparison to the suspension. And you've got to be so alert to what the car is doing and how it's handling over the course of a stint. Barendregt was in position for it. Pronk actually grabs a little bit of apron through 1 and 2, but this time he's okay. And Barendregt this time almost glances the wall there coming out of 2. So both of the Dutch drivers then in a bit of trouble. And I've just noticed the gap all of a sudden for Timothy Stroh is out to 3.3 seconds. So we go away for about 4 to 5 laps and suddenly Steadman's got the afterburners on in comparison to Stroh. I wonder if Stroh's going into a heavy fuel save mode to get himself home, and Steadman's potentially banking on a splash and dash to bring himself there. It's a lot of time for Dave Steadman to make up if he does have to splash and dash, but you'd say Timothy Stroh at this point is pretty much in the fuel save game as he tries to make himself comfortable at home. Steadman might also be trying to build a gap to fuel save a little heavier later on in the race. That might be something that is in the back of the mind. Keep an eye out as well on the battle 3rd, 4th and 5th. It's been about 8 tenths, and Morales is in a little bit of a pickle right now because he's dealing with Fran Herrera a little bit, and he's not happy. He says so over radio. What on earth was that in terms of trying to get things sorted? It was coming through 4 where Morales had his issue. Herrera was right up top, and effectively Morales put the block on as he went through. And you know what? Morales is going to dive down into the pits here. He is going to make a stop, a second stop in this race. Couldn't make it work on the 1, or have to commit solidly to the 2 here on lap 62. So this was the ploy from the start from the ALP cars. They're going to go lighter on their fuel, lighter in terms of their strategy, try and give themselves as much room as they possibly can. Pronk also down into the pits then, it seems, as he will also commit to the 2-stop strategy here today. Those who can make the 1 work are going to be in a really nice position between now and the end. Pronk hits his marks then, and he will try and get himself back out and going as soon as he possibly can. Makes you wonder, though, with how aggressive the fuel saves are being from certain drivers, who's on a 1 and who's on a 2. I put Steadman on a 2 as Paletta dives down into the pits then. Sorry, that's Pronk coming out of the pits, sorry, at this point in time. So we just saw Ollie Peters. But, you know, you're really starting to focus on, okay, what's needed at this point in time? What do I need? What does my drivers around me need? And I think at the moment, the need for Dave Steadman is I need to build a gap. So he's using what he can at this point to build a gap. It's now 4.5 seconds. I don't think it's going to be enough to win this race, but he'd also quite happily want to build a gap to Thijs Barendregt. You're going to lose about 35 seconds lane to lane. A splash and dash, it will be quite a bit less, but ultimately that should be ideal in terms of how things go. Logan Egan, by the way, has come in to make a second stop as well. He's just getting out and away again as Thijs Barendregt focuses. There is Logan Egan. He's been running pretty quietly to himself near the back of the field for the I'd say last 20 to 30 laps or so. as we reach that 2/3 stage of the race, and this would be the sort of time where any incident could massively change the outcome of how this race is going to be won or lost. Stroh in second position, you may think might have a good idea of how this is going, running 26.1s, 5.1 seconds adrift of Dave Steadman at this point in time, and you'd probably say that it is two differing strategies that we're seeing out there on circuit. Palette's still out there in third, Everitt in fourth, Barendregt is fifth, Ben Bennyworth in sixth, and about 3 seconds away from being lapped traffic to the race leader. 26 second lap as Fran Herrera decides that he wants to dive down in. Of course, he made the incredibly early stop, was forced to make the incredibly early stop after he smashed into the inside wall coming out of 1 and 2. Didn't throw a caution on that because it was down on the apron. But crucially for Fran Herrera, he will now have himself about 30 laps to go out there and attack with everything that he's possibly got. Now, Barendregt, I wouldn't be surprised here, is fuel saving. 26.2, that last time by. We'll have Ben Bennyworth for company here, who should be looking to try and motor on through, as he might commit to the 2-stop, knowing that he can't save. And you can see the difference. Barendrecht's 26.2, there's a 25.7 from Ben Bennyworth. He took half a second. He's going to get a monster drive coming off a 2. Barendrecht's going to give him the outside, the more preferred line there, and almost up into the barrier there. Ben Bennyworth is going to take that place away, and is going to do so comfortably. And that will be some news to the ears for car 96. He looks to chase down Alex Everitt, who's about 3 seconds down the road right now, and 19 seconds off of the race lead. It's got very tactical here at Homestead, with the lights on, the night sky opening up, and opportunities knocking for many a driver here. Barendregt trying to make the one-stop happen. You could argue Timothy Stroh is as well. And now it's about just settling down in battles, a few and far between, as Stroh has just behind him a very fast Jeremy Pronk, who is on a better strategy. Well, not necessarily a better strategy, but he's on fresher tyres, and that means he can absolutely fly by the driver there, Timothy Stroh, and as easily as that, that's how quickly things can bring into play. Alex Everitt in the pits, though. He has got himself into strategy game, and he wants to get himself a very nice 24-25 lap stint in to finish off this race. So that is something that is definitely there, as you can see Everitt bring himself nicely into position, and off and away from the lane he goes, and should be finding himself out in and around Ollie Peters or so, who would be a lap ahead of him, effectively out there on the circuit, because Peters, we believe, will have to need to stop a second time. But still a lot to unpack at this stage, including this battle between Steven de Grevelier and Inigo Mardones, which is at this moment for 7th and 8th places. We believe both of them still have to come down in. Just behind them is Logan Egan, who is 2 laps down on those two. As they run through 3 and 4 once again, they'll have to really start attacking us into the pit. Oh, that's interesting. It's Timothy Stroh. A big fuel save stint as he's come down into the pits then to try and get his strategy working absolutely faultlessly. He knows now that he probably has not got enough to win this race, but if he fuel saved heavily, I think he's banking on an undercut from Steadman. If Steadman's wise to this, you cover it off immediately. You dive down into the pits this lap because the rival behind you is in, and in will come Dave Steadman then to make his stop, wanting to mitigate the risk of the undercut. He has to cover off this move, and this needs to be a flawless run from Dave Steadman if he wants to pick up the victory here today at Homestead. These two have been in a class of their own tonight, and they know that a week from today at Phoenix, they've got work. Paletta will also dive into the pits. We also see in the pits, Mardones is in there, and coming out now is Ollie Peters from the pit. So a lot of drivers have found themselves in the lane, getting their stops sorted, and now the question is going to be, where is Steadman in comparison to Stroh? who will be making moves now through towards 3 and 4. And already off and away then is Dave Steadman. In fact, what you could say at this point is it's about, I would say, a third of a lap. You're going to see Stroh will be in 5th position running through. And the difference there is absolutely massive. It's a whole straight. So big props there. It's worked. But now here's the next question. They've got 21 laps. They've got to catch Thijs Barendregt. And by this statement, it's 13 seconds at this moment in time to Thijs, who was able to make it go through. Then Bennyworth will also be trying to make 51 laps work. And these two will have to work together here in order to hold off the runs of Steadman and Stroh out there on track. They know that it's a long road here to the end, and they can't afford to stay patient. Down onto the bottom, though, goes Ben Bennyworth. You've got no more help, Thijs. You're all on your own trying to figure it out. Ben Bennyworth has to depart for the pits on lap 80 of 100 with 20 laps to go the next time Barendregt crosses the line. So a lot of work to be done. And I tell you who is doing well right now, hasn't yet pitted. It's de Grevelier in 4th position, who is really just hanging in there, being really gritty as a driver. And this is a really good drive at the moment from Steven. No matter where he finishes in this race, this is a really good account of the Belgian after not being able to put the car where he wanted to in qualifying. Mardonius will go through. He's a couple laps down in comparison to everyone else. And Bennyworth right now will fall behind. Alex Everitt will fall behind Jeremy Pronk. So that will put him about 9th position now. Ollie Peters will be a course concern for Ben Bennyworth right now as he makes his way through 3 and 4. But he should be ahead of him and is so. So we're going to see more great racing. Morales and Paletta, by the way, have swapped places over the course of the stops. They are 6th and 7th at this moment, and they will have Everitt for company with Fran Herrera as that bridge between the divides once again. So that could certainly be huge. Gap, though, has come down to about 10.5 seconds as down low stays Fran Herrera. Alex Everitt makes his way through. I'm looking at Barendrecht's times. He's still doing those 26s. Steadman is about 0.8 of a second a lap faster per lap at this stage. Barendregt, I'm not sure is going to have much to fight Dave Steadman if he reaches there. And again, another 0.8 of a second brings the gap to 9.7 with 17 laps to go. Everitt through on Alfredo Morales. They fight side by side through 3 and 4, I do believe. 1 and 2. Yep, and the move is done. So nicely done through 3 and 4, sorry. And that is Morales then getting done. I got lost on an oval. That's incredible. But Alex Everitt there, finding himself up into 6th position, passing Morales without too much difficulty. So here's the move from very far out. Caution's come out, by the way. We've got a caution. This is a disaster for Thijs Barendregt. And to work out where it is Ollie Peters who has brought the caution out. The front wheel hanging off the machine as he went through 3 and 4. He was all out of shape, grabbed the apron, and we've got a caution in the final 15 laps of the race. Would you believe it? Trying to go low, grabbed the apron and spun it up. You can see it right now. Grabs apron, back steps away. You can't stop that one from going around. It's a caution at Homestead late on. Thijs Barendregt probably is going to have to come in and make a stop. And at this stage, you'd say it's not the end of the world because drivers like Paletta and Everitt are all a lap down. I'd say it puts de Grevelier in a fantastic position as well. So it'll be Steadman and Stroh, Barendregt and de Grevelier. They're the only 4 right now on the leading lap of this race. Barendregt, at worst, is going to be 3rd place. De Grevelier might dive in, but you can see Barendregt in the pits. Morales is going to follow. Herrera is going to stay out then. And de Grevelier, no surprises, is also going to dive into the pit as well. The one disadvantage they're going to have is they're going to be behind all of the lap traffic. So the likes of de Grevelier and Barendregt are going to have a lot of work to do to come through all of that in comparison to Steadman and Stroh out there. Stroh, by the way, has a huge margin to Steadman, but 4 drivers are going to get their lap back, it seems, which will be Pronk, Herrera, Everitt, and Paletta, who are on the front of the pack. So they will move back onto the leading lap of this race with their positioning. But Ollie Peters finding the wall puts a huge spanner in the works, and we're going to have ourselves there or thereabouts, around about 10 laps of a shootout here at Homestead, with the first caution of the day coming through Ollie Peters late on here for Crest Autosport's IndyCar Series. Now, what can you do when a caution like that brings itself into play? So, a little bit of calm will be needed here as we situate everything. Dave Steadman in control. Long stop there by one driver there, being, of course, Thijs Barendregt, which puts De Grevelier in play. They are right next to each other, actually, out there on circuit. And through all of that, they're only a couple spots behind Stroh. Now, Barendregt and De Grevelier are going to have tyres. Stroh's not going to have tyres, nor, mind you, is Dave Steadman. And when they all funnel out, there's only 2 cars between Steadman and Stroh, which will be Mardones and Bennyworth, who I'm sure will stay out of the way. There's 1 car between Stroh right now and Barendregt, and that is the American Logan Egan. So that is another bit of work that will be done. But at least at this point, they are behind the iRacing sedan safety car, which has the lights on, which means it'll be going at least 1 more lap around this Homestead Miami circuit. We are lights on at this point in time, and we are absolutely loving some of the racing. If you haven't had the chance to already, you can leave yourself that follow. And this is exactly what you love to see when the championship opens up once again and we start off the season. If you want great racing, you come here to Crest, and this is what you certainly find. So there is Dave Steadman. Now, the other question here is, how much is Dave Steadman fuel saving? How much did he undercut in that stop? He is absolutely clutching his way around, trying to make sure that he's not falling too far out of Jeremy Pronk's range. He definitely wants this race to pretty much be about how much you can save, and he's got to make sure he's got enough to get to the end to pick up the first one. There's the wave around as the lights come off of the iRacing sedan safety car. We are going to be going green this next time by, so those 4 will gain their lap back. Pronk, Herrera, got Paletta, and you got Everitt in the mix as well. So now it's about what can you do. Dave Steadman has a 2-car advantage over Timothy Stroh, who he himself has a 1-car advantage over Barendregt and De Grevelier. Those 2 drivers there, the Dutchman and the Belgian, have absolutely done wonders to get themselves into position. Reminder that De Grevelier started dead last and could come away with a podium here in this race. This could be massive in terms of this. A 3rd would be huge. But as they run towards 3 and 4, Steadman's got control of the field. Bennyworth and Mardones just behind. Staying low is Logan Egan. He's going to play no factor in this restart today. Barney the flagman is set. We're going to come back with 11 laps worth of racing on lap 90 of 100. Mark your words. This is going to be an incredible finish to an incredible race. Pace car dives in. There goes the call, and Steadman gets a great jump. We are back to green here as we run. The cars all dive out of the way. You've got just behind De Grevelier, Ollie Peters there, who's a couple laps down. De Grevelier with work, but so too Thijs Barendregt, who goes sideways and somehow avoids everyone. Comes back up the circuit, avoids everyone again, funnels through. How is Thijs Barendregt still in a race? Cold tyres on the restart, finding himself in so much trouble. He's bumped back to 7th. Paletta now up into 4th position as he looks to give chase. He's got worries behind as he goes through. 9/10 of a second the gap for Steadman versus Stroh. And now we look at the battle for 4th still, as Paletta's got Everitt for company. Logan Egan up high has got to stay out of the way here as he keeps himself going. But they are all trying to chase De Grevelier in 3rd. The top 2, 9/10 of a second. He needs a bit of help here, does Timothy Stroh. He's got to stay in this one. He's got to have some help from Ben Bennyworth if he wants to get back up to car 74, who's driven an absolutely faultless race to this point in time. This is a wonderful, wonderful bit of battling. And now, get this, Barendrecht's charging again. He gets around Pronk. He wants to get past Morales. He's got the best tyres of anyone in the field, and he knows he wants to get this done. Gets bottled up behind Alfredo, the Venezuelan. He'll want to try and find a way through. ASAMP. We're running out of laps here. Lap 93 then they go on to here with Steadman charging. Barendregt then down the inside. 1 second broken at the front, but Barendregt wants 5th place. Oh, they got so close. They got so close, didn't they? Between Barendregt and Morales. Morales still holding on because he knows he wants to give Paletta as much help as possible in 4th to challenge against de Grevelier, who's got the tyres and could be going from last to 3rd place here in this race. Again, another search as they now catch Alex Everitt here for a bit of company. This is going to be a dicey final 6 laps if ever we saw them. And now you got to wonder, how much have you got left? Gap still a second at the front. Here comes Morales searching. Not quite going to be able to get there this time to make it happen, but he can attack off of 4 and give himself a chance. Maybe he's a lap down though, which is crucial here. Morales is a lap down. So Barendregt, if he wants to catch, has got to deal with the lap traffic here and get through. He'll dive down low, try and pick this off and get to those cars in front. And still that chase is there for 3rd. Paletta is closing in on de Grevelier and is doing a pretty good job of it. Gap still a second at the front with 5 laps to go as Stroh is stuck in transit. Barendregt still having issues there with Morales, who is doing everything to be a nuisance for him, but finally he'll run the high side and it will work. And there is Paletta in 4th position, and defending now is de Grevelier as he went low down through the back stretch, and that is massive in terms of Paletta's charge. De Grevelier doesn't have the natural pace of Leonardo Paletta, who even on older tyres is still chasing this one down. Barendregt now through on Alex Everitt. He finds himself up now into 5th position with that run, and Logan Egan, by the way, has just come out of the pit, so he had a moment. He tagged the wall, had to dive down into the pits, get some repairs and go again. We got 3 laps to go. Dave Steadman in the lead, and he's doing everything he needs to at this point in time. Dave Steadman 74 is 1.3 seconds clear of Timothy Stroh. That will be the race, but here comes Barendregt again searching here on the outside of Paletta to try and get this done. Has he got enough on that outside line? He does! Oh, he's fantastic, isn't he? Thijs is racing back that mistake, rolling back time it seems, but he's running out of laps to do it and almost finds the wall as he'll have 2 laps to get to de Grevelier and rob him of a fairy tale podium, but Paletta's coming back on the inside as he tries to get through. The lead's not in any doubt at this stage, with Dave Steadman now finding himself a lap away from victory at this point in time. White flag out in the air here at Homestead Miami Speedway as Dave Steadman's number 74 rounds himself through 1 and 2 at the moment. The battle for 3rd we'll keep an eye on as well, because Barendregt is there on de Grevelier as he knows he's got to defend here. There's number 23. Which way is he going to go? Is it left? Is it right? He goes high side. De Grevelier defends, but the high side has worked quite nicely. Dave Steadman comes to the line and takes it with a formation finish with Timothy Stroh. What a race it is. But for 3rd, Stroh! Oh my goodness me! De Grevelier's lost out. Barendregt will steal the podium place on the line. What a battle for that one. Barendregt spares his blushes and takes 3rd place. Oh my goodness, what a race we've had there for 3rd. Oh my goodness, Barendregt. Here's how he got it done. Coming through too. You can see, moves to the outside, tries to pick off this run, moving around that high line, trying to sort it out. De Grevelier tried everything, moved up, didn't do enough really to pinch, and with a little bit of contact coming towards the end, that was a mega race that you had there towards the end. Let's get confirmation of results up there for you. That is qualifying results up on screen. Let's get the race results then all nicely sorted for you. And it was Dave Steadman who managed to pick up a brilliant 1-2 for the T&D Racing team there, meaning Timothy and Dave. And that was a win of 2/10 in the end as Steadman slowed, maybe ran out of fuel coming over the line there, picking it up and doing just about enough. 2nd position ultimately ended up with Timothy Stroh, with Thijs Barendregt half spin on the restart, still manages to pick up 3rd with an almighty drive back through to get exactly what was wanted. Leonardo Paletta takes 5th position as Steven de Grevelier just couldn't hold on for that 4th. What a great drive from him, up 10 spots, with Alex Everitt 6th place, Jeremy Pronk in 7th, Ben Bennyworth, the last finisher on the lead lap, in 8th place, getting the lap back at the end. A lap down or further was Alfredo Morales and Fran Herrera on the wrong side of issues for them today. Ollie Peters, who brought the caution out, 2 laps down. Inigo Mardones, 3 laps down. Logan Egan down 6. And Ruben Simonite out in the very early thralls of racing that we had here today. What great racing, though, what we had up and down the order. And we're going to take a chance then to grab some conversations with some drivers. Dave Steadman is along with us right now. A victory overall. Dave, perfect way to start the season. I don't think in terms of the way that you drove that one today that you could be faulted in any way, shape or form. Committed to a 1-stop / 2-stop, had to save the fuel, got the caution to save it, and ultimately came away with a very strong win.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried coming into this race. I've been practicing against the AI and getting beaten handily race after race. So, yeah, I'm just glad to come in here and find that groove around the racetrack. And I got to say, huge shout out to Tim. I was able to sort of steady his line in qualifying and get a pretty similar time.
Well, the line in qualifying certainly worked for you, but let's talk about that race, because it looked like over the course of that very long opening stint that nobody could hold a candle into the win to you and Tim. You found yourself about 10 seconds down the road from anyone else. How difficult is it to, I would phrase this differently. How easy is it to just concentrate on the driver in front of you dash the driver behind of you, knowing that you're in a very isolated race as you were?
Yeah, Tim and I both love the time trials. We both love the traffic-free tracks and just clocking in the miles. So the fact that we were able to get off the front and just kind of cruise away is kind of the race we want to run. So yeah, I think we were just fortunate that panned out and we were able to just cruise away running our race.
Well, you were able to run away, and especially down at the final stages there of that race, it looked pretty dicey in terms of fuel. I'll pose 2 questions in one. One, did you run out of fuel coming over the line? And 2, are you in a position to look at this and go, you know what, Phoenix coming up next week might be a really, really good place to say, I can do it in what is a short oval, as well as this 1.5 miler?
I did stop for a second pit stop. It was a little bit out of the usual sequence, so it might have been missed. But I was clocking enough fuel per lap that I felt I was never going to do that in one stint. So I was worried about the guys who stopped super late, whether the yellow flag would have meant I just ended up on the wrong strategy at the end of the day. For Phoenix, love Phoenix. I ran well there last time, so yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, the floor is yours, Dave. It's a victory. It's the championship lead on top of that. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
Thanks to all of the sponsors that helped make the league happen. That's Track Racer and 603 and GP Box, and thanks to the missus, who is a unwilling passenger on this sim racing journey. So,
well, you've always got. No worries at all. You've always got to thank the missus, otherwise you'll be in bad graces. Dave Steadman there, picking up the victory, doing everything that was wanted. Timothy Stroh will join us next, finish 2nd position overall. Tim, you seem to have a knack of putting the lap together in qualifying, and it looked like that you had yourself a good start to this race, but it just seemed that as the race seemed to go on, that Dave just had an extra leg on you.
Yeah, for sure. He had some definitely better pace as the laps went on, and again, just trying to get in the clean air makes a big difference. So he got ahead of me on the pit stop, and then after that he was pretty comfortable.
But let's talk about when that caution came up, because it came at a time where it looked like for everyone that this was going to be a settled affair and it was going to be a race to chase to make sure this was going to happen. Your opportunities were there to pick up second come the end. Do you feel like the safety car coming out in the way that it did really reset the table for you and gave you a lot more focus on, I'm second and this is my challenge for the last 11 laps?
Well, to be honest, I probably should have changed tires. I saw that Thijs did that, and I thought I was going to be a sitting duck. So I thought in the end, when I saw him pit, I probably should have done the same, and I might have had a chance to get Dave. But yeah, I think in the end, like, you know, it was well deserved. He definitely was the man to beat today.
Well, he certainly was, but there are opportunities coming up. Phoenix, of course, is next week, and a track which not many people had the chance to run last season. It's in the same place as the calendar as it was last season, but a short track, very aero dependent, very qualifying dependent. You got to fancy your chances knowing how good you run in qualifying, right?
Yeah, I love the short tracks, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I haven't ran it yet, haven't even practiced, so yeah, hopefully over the next days I'll get a chance to get some seat time and see how it goes. But yeah, definitely looking forward to Phoenix.
Well, the floor is yours, Tim. Shout out sponsors. Who gets it done? P2 today here at Homestead.
Well, I definitely have to say a big shout out to my wife. She just gave birth a week ago Sunday to our second son, Cole. So give me a little bit of time to play tonight. So big shout out to her. My mother-in-law is here also helping, and my parents are watching, and my brother as well. So those are my shout outs for the evening.
No worries at all there. Timothy Stroh joining us there, and massive congratulations to him on the second newborn. But we're going to jump in with the driver who finished third, Thijs Barendregt, here along for the ride. And what a ride it was towards the end, Thijs. One-stop strategy, switches over to a 2 with the caution comes out. The big side on that happened for you, and then the monumental charge to steal it away from de Grevelier.
Yeah, I think everyone thought that either is going to be a really early caution, and it didn't happen. So then I figured out, like, I'm gonna try and save it till the end, because last season worked out. I think for Jeremy, he saved it and won because of his strategy. So I tried to do the same, and it would have worked out, but then the caution came out. So I had to do quick thinking, and I was like, yeah, I want the fresh tires. And then I realized, like, oh, apparently anyone else is fitting. So there was a lot of traffic, and then luckily Logan moved out of the way. I was like, yeah, I could maybe still take Tim. Like, I had a bit fresher tires, and I completely binned it into turn 1. And I don't know how I saved it, but yeah, good save.
I don't know how everyone missed you. You were across the circuit for a very long time. But let's just talk about what it means to be the reigning champion, to have the number 1 on the car, and the work you had to do in this race, because it didn't feel like it was an easy one coming out of qualifying, starting on the 4th row of the grid, having to try and figure out a strategy that would get you back up there. But you did manage to do what you did quite a bit last season, find a podium. Do you feel, though, that it's going to be a much stronger challenge this season than it was last season, knowing that Stroh's here for a full season, and that Dave Steadman's definitely improved in terms of pace?
Yeah, the pace that Dave showed, I think, like last season he was very quick already, and like today he just showed like he was the best on pace and on strategy. And Timothy, he's one of the best drivers on the short tracks. We're going next week to Phoenix. He's like one of the best, and I think it's gonna be really tough to beat those two. But also Alex, he didn't have an awesome day today. He had some little mistakes, and then it will also be a big challenge to beat in the championship. And I think a podium really helps. But as you said, like, I'm behind 2 of them, and so they have scored more points, and also the bonus points went to those guys as well. So it won't be easy to overtake them in the championship.
Certainly won't be easy, but let's talk about the season as a whole, because you've already brushed up on Phoenix. Do you see the 2 road races in the calendar as maybe a bit of a strength or a weakness for you, knowing that moving forward it's not going to be this, ideal scenario as it was last season of 12 straight ovals?
I think it will actually be a strength of mine. Like, not a lot of people drive these cars on the road courses, and I've driven them a lot on the road courses before I went to the ovals. And I think that will help me. And a few weeks ago we had some practice on the road course, and it went really well compared to some other guys. But I don't know the pace of all of them, for instance, and I don't know how strong they will be. But I think like a podium at those road courses will be doable.
Well, a podium is doable at the road courses. A podium was very doable today at Homestead. Who gets it done for you, Ty? Shout out to some sponsors.
Well, thanks to BRT, thanks to DRA, and thanks to the Omega Group for sponsoring me today.
No worries at all. Thijs Barendregt finishing off in 3rd position overall with that result. And finally, we'll get a chance here just to jump in. Logan Egan wants a bit of a chat with us here, down in 13th position today, and decided absolutely no, I'm not ready just yet, but we'll make sure that you're all okay and talking. And apparently, no, we're not going to have a chance to talk to Logan then by what it seems at this point in time. So what we're going to do then here at this moment is say that it was an incredible opening race of the championship. And if you want to bring yourself in for more chances to go and race, or if you want to join yourself, head over to crestautosport.com and you can have the opportunity to sign up, get yourself in on some incredible racing and put yourself in the best possible position for what is going down. We've seen some great racing up and down the order. There could be a million different things that could happen in the race 1 week from today. But more importantly than that, we've got to have to say a massive thanks to everybody who gets it done for us today here at Crest Autosport. First and foremost, we have to talk about the likes of 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box as partners here of the Crest Autosport series, as well as our motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art racetrack sculpture designers, Apex Tracks. They manufacture their content using Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies. Get yourself in on that today, as well as Uncle Luke's sign and sticker shop for the prizes that will be coming along later on in the season. We have to say a massive thank you, of course, to William Foyle, who's been on the cameras for us here today. My name's been Jake Sparey, and now it all changes. T&D is going to be the new combination that will be very tough to stop over the course of a season. Dave Steadman, Timothy Stroh, it's a brand new frontier as the likes of Barendregt, Everitt, and the like will all have to try and adapt and adjust when Phoenix comes along. No guarantees, and we saw a great fairy tale up through the order from Stephen de Grevelier, but now it's about focus. To the desert, because it's Phoenix where we head to next.